right, welcome back, folks. We are done with the bye. Man, I'm glad, okay? I'm ready for Rams football. I'm sure you guys are as well. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at Jake Ellenbogen, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor of the video is Prize Picks. And you can go use the code JKBogan and get $50 when you sign up and make a $5 lineup. You don't even have to win or lose. You just basically tonight, Bills, Jets, you want to take advantage of that? You take 2 to 6 players, go check out their projections, and if you think they're going to have more or less than their projections, you hit more or less. It's that simple. $50 instantly to your account using my code JKBogan. All right. So, guys, and I'm dealing with like asthma issues. So if I start not being able to finish sentences, well, that's why I'm pushing through this. So anyway, we are doing mailbag today, folks. We are doing mailbag. Really appreciate everybody who participated. We had 34 freaking comments during the bye week, so love that. At some point, I expect this is going to get kind of big. So I don't do it very often. We did it a little bit during the offseason, but let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into this thing. So with the mailbag here, we're going to start off with Gene Sedan, who, or I might have screwed up your name, and I apologize for that. A fellow member of the channel, so appreciate that. Hey, Jake, love the content as always. Thank you, Gene. Thanks for doing what you do. No problem. I wanted to talk briefly about Logan Bruss. I think the comeback story is great, and I'm excited to see what his future brings. But I've been rewatching the games and really focusing on Logan. I'd have to say, Jake, he is definitely the weak link in the chain. I've seen him multiple times whiff on pass blocks and multiple times whiff on running plays where he gets up the field and looks lost. Like I said, Jake, I think his comeback story is great, and I hope that one day he can mature into a starting offensive lineman for us. But I think the biggest need in the upcoming weeks is to get Avila or Jackson back. This will give Stafford more time to find our young receivers down the field and make more plays happen consistently. Thanks for the time, Gene. Absolutely, man. So, yeah, Gene, I'm going to be honest with you. I totally agree with you. I think, and I've said this, I love Logan Bruss. Okay, I'm a big fan of his, and I hope he does develop into a starter someday. But you are asking a lot from Logan Bruss to come in here and do what he's doing. And look, I think we saw some really good things from him that he can go look at the film and really build off of. And, I think Zach Cromer and, all those guys are doing a great job. And I say Zach Cromer because he never gets credit, but he's also part of that offensive line coaching staff, as well as Munchak and, of course, Wendell. But I just wanted to say, kind of what I've been saying is, Logan has done his best, but the Rams are stretched. Like, they've stretched this thing as far as they can. And what a lot of people don't understand is the fact that they're in these games leads you to believe, oh, we should have won that or we should have won that. And I say it all the time. The reality is they're only in these games because of guys like Matthew Stafford keeping them afloat. Guys like Kyron Williams finishing at the goal line. They didn't have Stafford, this team wouldn't win a game. This team would not have one win on the year. Keep in mind, it took everything to go their way just to win one game. Now, on the flip side of that, having Matthew Stafford gave them a chance to win almost every game except for the Cardinals game. That is a great thing. Now, when you factor in the fact that, look, the offensive line at no point this year has been fully healthy. Now, Logan Bruss, he's raw, right? He's getting better. He's also, keep in mind, Gene, and I know you probably know this, he's never played the left side before. So the Rams asked him to do something he's never done, even going back to Wisconsin. And I've been impressed with him a little bit, but yeah, the Packers game, 7 pressures, you started to see, and here's the thing, the Packers give you exotic blitz looks. They use all sorts of stunts. They make it really, excuse me, They make it really complicated. And the reality is, for a young offensive lineman like Logan Bruss, well, he's trying to communicate on the fly, and he doesn't have that experience. And these offensive linemen haven't been playing together for that long. So, yeah, I agree with you. Great comeback story. Awesome comeback story. His story is not written, and it's not over, but they definitely could use a note boom back at left guard, or whether that's Avila or Jackson. Doesn't really matter. They need one of those three guys back at left guard. And, I appreciate Logan's contributions, but, if you're trying to win, something, you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, Logan Bruss isn't going to work out much longer. So I agree with you. Thank you so much for your participation in this. And we move on here. Taco Bandit. Need to get a linebacker. Linebackers are key to a good defense. Yes, the Rams really took advantage of the fact that Aaron Donald was there. They didn't need to invest so much in linebackers. They felt like they found a creative way to field 11 on the defense without having to pay top dollar for a linebacker. And I give them a lot of credit, but now I think the time has come where linebackers are important again. Okay, you can't live without them. And you can have sideline to sideline guys all you want, but, and keep in mind, Roseboom is a sideline to sideline backer. He's a very athletic linebacker. I don't think people realize that. The issue with Roseboom and Reeder, they can't get off blocks. Roseboom doesn't, neither get enough drop and depth, in coverage. And so it makes it easy, for a quarterback to layer it over them. What I mean by layering is basically you're just, you're throwing it over, a linebacker, and you have a receiver behind him, and you're just layering it over, who's really good at that, Jordan Love. And Caleb Williams did a nice job in the Bears game against them. So I agree. I think they address, I kind of look back at the linebacker draft that the Ravens had. If I'm not mistaken, they took Patrick Queen in the first round, but then they took Malik Harrison, I think, in the third or fourth. I loved the idea of double dipping on some game-changing linebackers. Now, Harrison's not bad. Patrick Queen obviously is on the Steelers now, but I liked the thought process for sure, and I wouldn't be against the Rams double dipping on linebackers. So, yes, during the offseason, we will be scouting a lot of linebackers, that's for sure. Thank you again, Taco Bandit. Terrence Smith, let's see. The Rams should get Hassan Reddick. We need a closer on defense. So I'm going to tell you this right now. I think they have a closer on defense. I think they have quite a few, actually. That's actually the reason why I'm so confident they're going to turn this around. First and foremost, Jared Verse, okay? He's getting better and better every week. He's getting more confident, more comfortable, all of that. You already have seen Kobe Turner. When Kobe Turner blows up, he can ruin a game. He can absolutely wreck a game. You saw Braden Fisk, the forced fumble. You're starting to see these guys come together. Byron Young has played back-to-back games where I think they were two of the best games of his entire career, even going back to college. I'm so impressed with his last two games. Yeah, I'm not on Hassan Reddick at all. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that's a need. And furthermore, Reddick scares me. The Jets traded for him with the assumption that he would play, refused to play without a contract. They tried to negotiate, and it got messy to the point where his representation cut him off. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on with Reddick. I don't know him personally, so I can't say for sure this is what's happening, but there are rumors circulating that, he's had, I guess, bodyguards or whatever, try to, I don't even know what it was, but basically it was trying to control and almost intimidate. Look into it. It's a lot of weird stuff going on. I've heard some weird stuff about Hassan Reddick from, Jets fans, not Jets fans, but some Jets people that know a little bit more than I do about that team. So yeah, it's interesting. But But no, I appreciate you participating. Luke Lange, thank you for participating here. If you could add 2 players who would have played for the Rams in their prime to add to this Rams team, who would they be? Ooh. Okay, Aaron Donald. A prime Aaron Donald with what they have is insane. Yeah, I'd say Aaron Donald, and I would probably go with. Oh man, this is tough. So, if you could add 2, so you're not saying like a certain time frame. So I would probably go prime Aaron Donald. That's my alarm, I guess, going off. I would probably go prime Aaron Donald, and to be honest with you, I might even go with. Ooh, this is tough. I might even go with Isaac Bruce in his prime, because I think Isaac Bruce is one of the greatest wide receivers ever. I think having one more guy, so while Kupp and Nakua are out, if I had prime Isaac Bruce, Stafford would have way more opportunities to get the ball out there, because you'd have Bruce, he'd probably command double teams, and you got Tutu Atwell one-on-one, maybe even not even covered. You have like coverage busts and all that. So yeah, I feel good saying prime Aaron Donald, and I know the linebackers, so that's tough. Maybe, yeah, I would go prime Aaron Donald. And I'm really deciding between Bruce and Isaiah Robertson, the late, great Isaiah. Yeah, that's tough, man. Great question. Great question. I'm going to stick with Bruce, and I would just use the other 2 linebackers, Hummel and Spades. How about that? But Isaiah Robertson is probably the best inside line. Well, Les Richter you got. Damn, that's tough. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Isaac Bruce, because the best, if you don't have the defense, at least you have. Well, and also Aaron Donald's going to make life way easier for those linebackers, regardless who they are. So Aaron Donald's a no-brainer. But yeah, Isaac Bruce, I'm going to stick with him. And Torrey Holt is very much under consideration there, because he's also fantastic. So yeah, fantastic question. All right, Eric, how we doing? I believe McVay/Snead have been planning an addition before the deadline, maybe a Kyle Pitts type tight end. I don't think they'll go after a wide receiver running back on offense. Maybe a Surtain the second type DB on defense as an option with the unforeseen injuries and status. Do you think the Rams pull the trigger on a trade prior to the deadline? If so, who do you think McVay/Snead go after? Great question. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue. As it stands right now, I don't think they'd go linebacker, unfortunately, for a lot of people that would want that. Corner, I think they feel good about. They really, really wanted Akello back. They're really excited to get Darius back. They really like the growth of Kobe Durant. So, maybe long term, I could see them drafting a corner. But it's in the now. Who are the bad teams? The Browns. Is an Njoku on the table? Would you trade for David Njoku to help out? See, the thing about David Njoku, and I haven't looked at any of his contract stuff. This is off the cuff. And this is only one take. That's why I had an alarm go off. It's why I can barely breathe, all of that. The thing about David Njoku, guys, is that he is a red zone threat. And Colby Parkinson has struggled in the red zone, and he's getting a lot of targets. So I don't know what Tyler Higbee is going to look like when he comes back. I hope he's, great and everything, but I would not be against reaching out to Cleveland about Amari Cooper and David Njoku, if I'm being honest with you. Now, Amari Cooper is a 1-year rental, and I'm not really certain about David Njoku. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up now. But, yeah, I'm curious Well, let's look it up. Why not? We got it here. So David Njoku contract, so you guys can see. So why? Okay. He's got a pretty fat deal. I remember that being the case. Okay. All right. So that's a giant ass cap hit. But there's a potential out. You could play around with the money. I think Njoku's skill set would fit this team like a glove. I do. So, like, the Browns are terrible, okay? Jaguars, Evan Ingram. I think getting a tight end might be the direction they go in, and here's why. I know they signed Colby Parkinson, but they signed him before the draft, right? And they tried to draft Brock Bowers. They wanted to trade up multiple times and get Brock Bowers. So, I know it'll be against a lot of people because they're like, this defense is garbage. Like, why? Defense isn't garbage, okay? It's very young. Stick with it. It's a rookie defensive coordinator in 5 games. And the first game against a great offense in the Lions, they showed a lot of fight. So, stick with it. The linebackers are the issue, in my opinion. I definitely think they're going to figure that out. At some point, I do think Omar Speights and or Jake Hummel will be playing. So, great question, Eric. I'm going to say they go with a tight end. Whether that's David Njoku, Hunter Henry of New England. Yeah, David Njoku, Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram, who are some other bad teams. Carolina, they don't really have anybody. Ian Thomas. Like, it'd have to be an upgrade. Like, Hunter Henry is a guy that I wanted in the offseason. Great red zone threat. Njoku, red zone threat. Evan Ingram, red zone threat. These are guys that I could see them going after. Kyle Pitts won't be available. The Falcons are competing. You know? Aside from that, off the top of my head, like, who's bad right now? The Titans, Chig Okonkwo, no. Yeah, it's just, that's pretty much, off the top of my head, that's really all I can really think of. Like, those are the 3 that make the most sense to me. And then Amari Cooper at wide receiver. I don't think they go after Devontae Adams, but Cooper would fit. Blocking wide receiver, really good route runner, natural hands receiver, all that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where they see this team. Keep in mind, the deadline's going to come up soon, but it's not right now. You got 2 weeks or whatever, so it's really going to be dependent on how well they compete the next 2 weeks. If they, come out and just beat the crap out of the Raiders this weekend, and then they lose maybe a tight game to the Vikings, or they beat the Vikings, then I think they will make a trade. If they lose to the Vikings and then they don't look that great, but they barely beat the Raiders, or they don't win against the Raiders, then I think they might even sell. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing here. If I were to put my guess on it, oh, man, I would probably say the one that makes the most sense would probably be, I'll probably say Evan Ingram. I just think right now the Jaguars locker room is gone. They're shot. They're coming back from a long trip overseas. Evan Ingram makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go with Ingram. So, okay. Never thought about Kyle Pitts, but I think he'd be a great addition to the offense. I love Kyle Pitts. I've been thinking about him for a while, and it just never worked out. They had to have made a trade for him, before this year. Now they're going to utilize him. It's very clear that they know what they're doing. Adrian, how's it going? Do you think Darius Williams will be a top 10 corner when healthy? How will the secondary be with JJ3 back? So I don't know when JJ3 will be back, but I do think without a shadow of a doubt, Darius Williams is going to be a top 10 corner as long as he is healthy. Okay, he's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The film is just textbook on, when he was on the Jaguars. And I know I'm going to get clowned for it, but I think he and Kello can be the best 1-2 punch in the league at corner, aside from maybe the Jets with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. I mean, yeah, I think it's one of the best duos in the league, because people forget that all they talk about is how bad Kello was at the end of the year, which, by the way, he wasn't bad. Okay, he had that one game against the Giants where he was playing with an injured groin, and he gave up a few big plays. That was his first time he ever gave up over 100 yards in a game. But he was a top 15 corner for a top 10 corner for most of the season. If you really look, I mean, his catch percentage was ridiculous. It's under 50%. And this is a guy that, despite his struggles down the stretch dealing with the injury, his targeted passer rating was still in the 70s. So very good. And Darius Williams' deserved catch rate was the best in the league. So yeah, last year, both guys were very good. I think this is one of the best duos in the league. I'm excited to see them down the stretch. They have to sign Kello, though. They can't play around. If they play around, they might not sign. They might not be able to keep him because he's on the practice squad. You can't keep elevating him. You will have to sign him at some point. They went through the same thing with Darrell Henderson last year. We'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, appreciate that, Adrian. Tina Tuna, how's it going? What do you think about doing a play-by-play live stream for every Rams game? So play-by-play is something that I've always wanted to do. Hugely inspired by Michael Kay growing up. Obviously, you see my Yankees hoodie, Yankees in the back. They're in the ALCS. Michael Kay is the voice of the Yankees. Big reason why I always wanted to get into play-by-play. Al Michaels, guys like that. Just my total idols growing up, just watching them and everything. But every Rams game for me is kind of my time to, while I can still watch it professionally and jot down notes and all that, it's my time to spend with friends and family because I don't get that time throughout the week, really. So I don't think that will be the case. Maybe a Thursday night game, I'll consider it. But the problem is if you do play-by-play, it's on a delay. So I've done it before for preseason. I appreciate that you would even want to hear that from me. And I think I could. I couldn't do it right now. I'm out of breath with this asthma thing. But yeah, that is a cool idea. And we'll see if that ever comes to fruition down the road. But never say never. Might do it for a Monday night game or a Thursday night game. We'll see. But yeah. Terrence, do you think they are going to trade trade Kupp and Stafford? I don't think so, but that's what I've been hearing. I don't. Kupp is the most likely. Stafford's not getting traded. I don't care what anyone says. The Rams weren't trying to trade Stafford to the Jets, despite what Michael Lombardi wanted to say. I think Stafford wants to remain a Ram. To be honest with you, I think the Rams want Stafford to remain a Ram as long as he's going to play. He's still playing at a ridiculously high level. He's probably the most durable quarterback in the NFL because he's hurt. But being durable means that you can play through the hurt, right? And being injury prone is a completely different thing. Being injury prone means you are literally missing games all the time. It's like Kawhi Leonard, who plays 20 games in an 82-game season. Matthew Stafford is not injury prone, okay? He's very tough, and I just don't think that they want to give up on this relationship. If McVay were to retire at the end of the year, which he won't, but if he were, okay, that's different. You want your own quarterback for the next head coach, fine. Stafford isn't going anywhere, I don't think. If they do really poorly this year, then I think they might draft Drew Allar or Quinn Ewers or somebody like that. And then have them sit behind Stafford. But I still don't think that they would trade Stafford away, even if they were that bad. I think that they would give it probably one more year, 2025. And in the meantime, hope that they have a Jordan Love in waiting, a la Aaron Rodgers. So, again, great question. When will Cooper Kupp return? Brick Stadiums, I'm going to tell you this right now. I think it's this week. I really do. I know they said it's a little optimistic and it's not guaranteed. I do think this was the plan all along. You give him the extra bye week, I think he'll be ready to go. Rams 17 by 23. LOL. Christian, who should replace McVay as head coach? I assume you mean after McVay, because I'll tell you right now, McVay is one of the best coaches in football. He may have his faults. I may be critical of him, but I love the guy. He was my hand-picked guy even when Jeff Fisher was still coaching. But who should replace McVay as head coach? At some point when he hangs it up. It's too early to say. If I had to put a guess on it, I mean, I could see somebody from the college ranks. I could see like a Lincoln Riley. It would have to be a big hiring. You can't just go from Sean McVay to a nobody. So it could be that. It could be, maybe Raheem Morris, depending on how well his tenure goes with the Falcons. Maybe he gets an opportunity. Maybe Aubrey Pleasant. There's some options out there. Maybe Zach Taylor, if it doesn't work out with the Bengals and he ends up getting fired, maybe he becomes the offensive coordinator and sticks around a little bit and then becomes the head coach for the Rams. Maybe Mike LaFleur. There's a lot of guys out there. It could be anybody. I'll say this. This is one, okay? Lannon from Oregon. Remember I said that. I think if they lost Sean McVay, I think they would go after Lannon from Oregon. I'm not saying that that's who they would hire, but I think that they would have interest in him. I feel like it would be like a younger coach. So maybe I'm wrong, but I could see that. Martin, how's it going? With some games that the Rams defense have issues with stopping offenses, should the Rams start to pivot on spending more on defense? They spent quite a bit on defense, right? I mean, they went out and they got Cam Curl. They signed Darius Williams. They signed Trey White. They signed Akello. I don't necessarily agree with the way they spend because they don't really look at linebacker at all, and I've never really understood that. I don't know. I think spending more on defense, maybe spending more responsibly on defense would be the move. Like, I'm looking at, linebackers and I'm seeing, okay, Dre Greenlaw's coming off an Achilles tear. Probably not going to sign him. But you look at guys like, say, Jamin Davis, who I don't deserve credit for that. Blaine Grisack does, my buddy. He mentioned it to me. He's gotten a lot better over the course of his career. He's an option. I'd say Tyrell Dodson. This is the guy I wanted. Well, I wanted Blake Cashman, who went to the Vikings. Sure enough, he's having a good year. But Tyrell Dodson went to the Seahawks for nothing. That guy just played the season of his life last year, and he was an affordable deal for Seattle. So I probably would say go after a guy like Tyrell Dodson and draft another. Depending on how Spates and Hummel do, we'll see if they even get opportunities. But yeah, I mean, I would just say spend more responsibly. Definitely target linebacker. Greg, how's it going? Hello, Jake. I believe our secondary is the biggest concern. No communication on the back end with the safeties, and our corners are small and lack ball skills for the most part. According to reports, Kinchins was great in camp, as was Curl. Lake has regressed, in my humble opinion. Our whole secondary may be the worst in the NFL. So, Greg, I'm going to push back on you. I appreciate your participation here. So, I don't think the secondary is the biggest concern. I think it was. Do you know why? Because they benched Trey White. And they benched Trey White because they weren't getting that communication that you're talking about. Now they are getting communication in the back end. First off, that Akello play where everyone keeps talking about triple coverage, caught, I thought it was just a bad play call. Akello never plays safety, and they asked him to play safety for the first time in his career, essentially. So that was not great. I hated that play call. They do have more size because now you do have Akello who's 6'3". So I don't think they're that small. I don't think they lack ball skills. Darius Williams has 5 interception potential. Akello has 5 interception potential. Kobe Durant has 5 interception potential. So I don't think they lack ball skills. I think the issue is Cameron Curl. We haven't really seen what Cameron Curl can do because of the lack of the communication. They were scheming around, trying to hide Trey White from getting exposed. And I said this, and people pushed back and said, I'm just being a hater. Truthfully, I'm not. I wanted Trey White to succeed. I just don't think he has it anymore. He had 2 major injuries, to be fair. He's a former All-Pro player. He is a very good football player, but I think he was a great football player I think now, unfortunately, injuries have robbed him of his athleticism. Still athletic, but not quite the same. And I would push back on Lake. I think Lake hasn't regressed because, now he's really getting the opportunity to be the guy. And I just think he's getting more confident every week. He's getting better every week. I think he played one of his best games. So I just don't know if I agree with that, but I appreciate your comment nonetheless. Terrence, I think we should try and sign Shaq Leonard and negotiate a contract with him at linebacker. He's pretty good. What do you think, Jake? Terrence, Shaq Leonard used to be great. I don't know what happened. Injuries, maybe. I know he had some back issues, I believe. I just don't think he's the same. Nobody in the NFL wants him. This isn't the same thing as what I was saying about Akello, saying how, people would say, well, if he's so great, then why does no one want him? Oh, people wanted him. He just wouldn't sign. I don't think anybody wants Shaq Leonard. I think, unfortunately, the athleticism is gone. I just don't think he's the same player. And, it was kind of weird the way he left the Colts. So I'd pass on him, to be honest with you. If the Rams decide to trade Kupp, do you think a second or third would be a good value? I wouldn't trade Kupp, but a second, I would absolutely be okay with that. Third would even be fine. I've seen too many annoying trades with the 5th and 6th round pick swaps that I'd fall on the floor if they got a second or third for Kupp. The reality is if they trade Cooper Kupp with how big his contract is, it's going to be a salary dump. So you have to be aware of that. You're not getting a top pick for that, unfortunately. You're just not. So whether it's fair or not, that's just the way it is. Waddy, how's it going? Who do you trade for to give us the best chance of going on a run, make the playoffs? It could be someone who is available or someone who you believe may become available. So who would I trade for personally? I think right now, because Cooper Kupp has some injury concerns, Puka Nacua may not be the same player when he comes back immediately, right? I think Tutu Atwell offers that dynamism that you just love. I think Jordan Whittington has been really, really exciting. The growth is there. Demarcus Robinson has been a disappointment. Tyler Johnson probably shouldn't see the field. Xavier Smith is fun, but he's not a starter. I think I'm at the point where if I was going to do any trade, I'd go after Amari Cooper and David Njoku. I would try and get both of them in a package deal. I'd said maybe a third this year and a third next year. Maybe that's too much. Third this year and a fifth next year, or fifth this year and a third next year, something like that. I would try and get them. The reason being, Njoku helps you with the red zone offense, and Amari Cooper can also help you in that regard. But the important thing about having an Amari Cooper is he's insurance when Kupp and Puka are battling injuries. Maybe they're not the same player immediately. Maybe it takes them a little bit to get going. And you have Amari Cooper. And I already love Tutu Atwell and Whittington. DeMarcus has been a disappointment, but I think if DeMarcus was playing on the field with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, he could go off. But he's not a number one, and he's being asked to do that. So I think having a number one in Cooper and then having a number one tight end in Njoku, I think it would just absolutely just blow up the offense. I think it'd be incredible. I think Matthew Stafford, that'd be the best tight end Stafford's had in his career. I think it's fair to say Higbee's probably the better tight end just overall, like his sample size, everything. But Njoku has the higher ceiling. Njoku's more athletic. I think that's the fair thing. Njoku is the most dangerous tight end that Stafford would have ever played with. And, Brandon Pettigrew had his moments. Eric Ebron had potential, but I think Njoku, we've seen when he's healthy and he's being targeted and doesn't have a bad quarterback in Deshaun Watson. We saw him when Joe Flacco was targeting him. He can be a contributor. And then you have Cooper, who I love Amari Cooper. So, yeah, I think that's what I would do. That's the trade I would do. I'd do a package deal for both of them. Who is one realistic quarterback you would like to see replace Stafford if he were to leave after this season? It can be a free agent signing, draft, or trade. This might come as a shock. I'm going to say Justin Herbert. Things don't appear to be going super well for him in, LA. It'd be an easy transition. Would the Chargers do it? I don't know. But I think at some point or another, Justin Herbert doesn't look like Justin Herbert. And I don't think that's him. I think more so it's what's around him. You trade away Keenan Allen. You lose Mike Williams in the offseason. Now, they drafted, McConkey and Quentin Johnston, obviously a first-round pick from last year. And, he looks like he's coming on a little bit. And they got some weapons, like J.K. Dobbins is a stud, but there's just something that feels off with this Chargers offense. And I feel also like if Justin Herbert was around Sean McVay, that would be like magic. So I'd say Justin Herbert. Yeah, I'll leave it at him. I mean, Dak Prescott, I thought before he signed, he could be a potential option. I think it's got to be somebody like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and got a Zach Wilson or a Trey Lance, or if Trevor Lawrence ends up getting sent away from the Jaguars, if the Rams go after him. But if I had to put my money on anybody, like gun to my head, I'm putting it on Justin Herbert. I don't know. I have this feeling that he's very much in play to be the Rams' heir apparent. So that's what I have. Great question, by the way. Jake, who do you think Shula could be Jake, do you think Shula could be the problem and he's not DC material? He came into his old job and run the linebackers. Your thoughts? So, Edward, thank you for the question. I do think he is capable. I saw some really encouraging things. This is the first game, the Packers game, where they were able to blitz, show some exotic looks up front. And by the way, it worked. The third quarter, for whatever reason, they stopped blitzing, and that's when Jordan Love picked them apart. But Jordan Love was bottled up and did not look very good when blitzed. And he was able to do that because there was confidence in the back end of the secondary. You're no longer trying to scheme around, Trey White's inefficiencies. Now you're just able to run your defense the way you want to run it. Now you can send a safety. Now you can send a corner. They got creative, and it worked. I don't know why they stopped doing it in the third, gave up 14 points, didn't do it in, started blitzing again in the fourth, 0. Packers literally did not score. So I saw some good things from Shula in the first 5 games. I saw some awful things, but I think he's learning, he's growing. I think he has a chance to be really good. He was around 3 great defensive coordinators in Raheem Morris and Wade Phillips, and of course Brandon Staley. Number 1 Rams defense maybe ever, aside from the fearsome foursome, to be fair. But yeah, I think I'm fine with him. Okay, I need to see a full season before. I know people already want to fire him, but why would you want to fire? It's been 5 games, and they've been banged up too. The offense isn't scoring either. That's another thing. We continue to point the finger at the defense, but the offense is not scoring. They're averaging 18 a game. You're not going to win many games scoring 18 a game. So it's not as simple as that. That's what I would say, but I appreciate your comment. Paul, any ETA on Avila returning? I don't have one. If I had to guess, I think he's back by the Seattle game, week 9, but who knows at this point? I think a lot of the guys are going to be back for week 9 against Seattle. The reason I look at that as a target date, Cooper Kupp will be ready to go, I think, after the bye, but not everybody is. So even if they might be, don't rush them. Give them another week. Then you have the Vikings Thursday night, right? So it's almost like another bye if you give them the Vikings game. However, you could also give them the mini bye. So give them 2 weeks, right? Then you have Seattle. That game's huge. We've talked about it. If you want to make the playoffs as the Rams, you're probably going to have to win the NFC West. So I think that's kind of where I'm at there in that regard. So that's what I would say there. But yeah, ETA, I don't have anything officially. That's just my guess. Jinja Jesus, thank you. Do you think McVay and Stafford rely on Kupp too much instead of making a balanced offense? They build one to get Kupp open? Maybe, but I also think right now they need Kupp to get some pressure off of Stafford, have that safety net, and if they take him away, then you have some other guys creating more separation. You're really, like, in my opinion, you're really stretching it out because Tutu is great. But Tutu's even better when he's got a Kupp out there, or he's got Njoku out there. Same could be said for Whittington. Whittington is creating a lot of separation, but when Whittington went down, no one was creating separation. That's why they lost to the Packers. Whittington goes down, and you saw Colby Parkinson, who I like, just couldn't create separation, right? So I do think he's going to help a ton when he comes back. I think they've been way more balanced with Stafford in Kupp than they were with Goff in Kupp. I think Goff just peppered Cooper Kupp with the short passing in his last year in 2020, but I think Stafford's tried to get away from that a little bit. We'll see, but I'm not even worried about that. At this point, I just want points being scored. Cooper Kupp is most important in the red zone. This team has no issue getting there, despite all the issues, and take this away from this video, okay? If you're concerned about the Rams, the one good thing here about the offense, despite all these issues that they have, they're getting to the red zone as much as anybody. They're just not scoring. But they're getting to the red zone despite the fact that they have 3 of the 5 starters out on the offensive line. They have their 2 best receivers out, okay? And they have their starting tight end out. So there's a lot of injuries there, and yet they're still getting the red zone. So if you have Cooper Kupp back, I think they're going to score on a lot of those, and I think they're going to win those type of games, and that's going to be the deciding factor. So I think they definitely need some red zone help. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua can help, but mainly Cooper Kupp because that's his bread and butter. Thanks again for the comment. DJ Phono, appreciate the participation. Rams fans better start showing up to games, not just group chats. Support your team, win or lose. Rep your gear wherever you go, no matter what. Yeah, I'd like to see, and I understand it, but I would really like to see more Rams fans at the games. The reality is, though, when you play the Packers, there wasn't football in LA for 20 years or whatever. I mean, I went to the Rams-Packers at the Coliseum. You see Tom Brady jerseys. You see Joe Montana. People look at it as an event. A lot of these people in LA aren't even Rams fans. They're just like, oh, yeah, football. Cool. I'm going to go to this Rams game because I live right by it. And I'm not saying that's a good excuse. I mean, I live in upstate New York, so I mean, I don't know exactly how everything goes. That's just my, that's what I came away with when I was out there. But, yeah, the problem is you do have those. It's a destination spot too. So when you have these people that can only get 1 week time off from work, are they going to go and see the Los Angeles game for their team where they play in Los Angeles? Or are they going to go and see them play the Browns in Ohio? Because I don't even think people in Cleveland want to live in Ohio. So I'm just kidding. But still, yeah, I think that's a lot of it. I hope it gets better. It should get better. They won a freaking Super Bowl. They've been in 2 since they moved back. We'll see, but I hear you. I just don't want to point the finger at anybody because I'm not out there either, so I can't really say much. Shindanu, thank you so much for the comment here. How did number 4 not help on that deep ball? Okay, so here's the problem. Akello Witherspoon plays corner. They asked him to play safety. He was also the robber in that situation. It was just not a great play call. It was actually very confusing. It was unnecessarily confusing. This is the mistake a rookie defensive coordinator can make. It would have been as simple as just putting Kello on Jaden Reed, and his wingspan, he's able to probably knock that away or pick it off. But now you have him out there, and he looks like just totally like a fish out of water because he doesn't play safety, right? So that was the issue there. It wasn't just him. It was just a bad play call where you have 3 guys, and you have one corner who's used to playing corner being asked to play safety, and you have Quentin Lake, I believe, on that play who's playing corner. So I just didn't like the play call. I understand people are going to look at that and say, oh, you're just capping for your boy. No, I'm just being honest with you. I watched that play over and over again, and I just thought it was a bad play call, and sometimes that's what happens. You get a really good play call against a really bad play call. It's why sometimes you'll notice screens there's a certain screen pass that gouges you for 70 yards. Bad play call, right time to call the screen. There you go, mismatch. So it happens. Yeah, he could have done a little bit better job, but again, like I said, he's just not used to playing safety, never does, and he's a corner. So hopefully they never call that again. We'll see. Favorite Rams play so far this season? What's up, Jack? Favorite Rams play so far this season? Let's see. I just also wanted to make sure. Okay, I didn't want to miss out on anybody who was a member. I wanted to shout everybody out. So Jack is a member, shouting you out right now. That's a great question. I'm going to say my favorite Rams play of the season would probably be... This is a tough one. I'm not going to lie to you. My favorite play of the season was the Tutu Atwell catch. It's simple. I get it, but he got behind the defense, set up basically the game winning. They only won one game all year, and Tutu Atwell is a big reason for it. So that catch against the 49ers, that put him down at the goal line, that Stafford underthrew him a little bit. If he puts it on him, it's a touchdown. Not as much time takes off the clock, but yeah, I thought that was definitely my favorite play of the season. That's the most excited I've been. So I would say that, but that's a great question. If the Rams drop the next game, should they just build for the future? I'm going to be honest with you. If they lose to the Raiders, I mean, Aiden O'Connell, they don't even know who their quarterback is. They're going back and forth between Aiden O'Connell and Minshew. Their best wide receiver isn't playing because he doesn't want to. I mean, if they lose to the Raiders, you could call me Mr. Optimist all you want, but you might as well call me Mr. Pessimist after that. There is zero excuse to lose to the Raiders coming off a bye at home. Zero. Absolutely zero excuse. They lose that game, I understand why every single one of you would be out on the team going to the playoffs. I would understand entirely. Golden opportunity. You had the best bye week you could have had. 49ers won. That kept the max win total at the top of the division at 3 instead of 4. And the Cardinals got blown out, which, by the way, I know it doesn't mean a whole lot, but the Bears just blew out the Jaguars and the Packers just blew out the Cardinals, 2 teams the Rams just lost to. So maybe the NFC North is just that good. I don't know. But again, really banged up Rams team, and they've almost beaten, the last 2 games. So we'll see. Do you think they trade Stafford? I do not, Zach. That would be, to have a trade like that done during the season would be wild. That would just be insane. So I just don't see that. Johnny, how's it going? What's your take for the Rams plan post Stafford? I've been told McVay does not want to develop a rookie quarterback. I would say I'm going to stick with Justin Herbert. There's really no one else that really comes to mind except for Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, not Deshaun Watson, but yeah, I think we're gonna end up seeing Justin Herbert at some point, and I might be crazy, so be it, but that's what I see. But I appreciate the participation. Almost done here. Terrence has been a heavy participant in this. Love it. I believe in the Rams. We had a rough start. I think with a trade might help. We should try to get D-Hop with a 5th-round pick. What do you think, Jake? I wouldn't go after Hopkins. I would probably go after just Cooper. I probably would only go after Cooper and then a tight end. I wouldn't be interested in Hopkins or Adams or anybody like that. I want a guy that's going to fit the offense like a glove. I want a guy that's going to be able to block up front, a willing blocker, allow you to run the same structures that you're trying to run right now. That's what Amari Cooper is going to allow you to do. So I would go with Cooper. That's just my opinion. Look out for Jacoby Myers too. If you wanted maybe a cheaper option, the Raiders are struggling. Jacoby Myers could be available, okay? And I'm a really big fan of him. He's one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league, so I wouldn't be against him either. Just don't watch his lateral against the Patriots. Those of you who know, you know. When he was on the Patriots against the Raiders. It is funny that he signed with the Raiders. Lil Jackie, which Rams wide receiver is the best player in the last 30 years? I think it's Isaac Bruce. I think Isaac Bruce is the best Rams wide receiver of all time, but it's so tough because Torrey Holt was so good. Torrey Holt might be better. Torrey Holt might be more talented. Isaac Bruce had the craziest season of any Rams receiver. He had over 1,700 yards his second year in the league. Yeah, it's tough to bet against Isaac Bruce, especially he did that without Kurt Warner. Okay, a lot of people forget that. You know, he did that with Mark Rippon and what was it? Chris Chandler? I can't remember the other guy. But point is, he did it with not a superstar quarterback, to be nice. QFAIS. Just because I had no idea how to say that, so I didn't want to butcher it. Appreciate the comment. What's with all the talk about trading Cooper Kupp intensifying today? It's people being bored during the bye. That's all it is. When you look at a team on a bye week that's 1-4, people have to fill time. They have to make content. I really didn't make a lot of content last week. The reason being is because I wasn't going to force the envelope. I really did not want to just make narratives. I wanted to put out quality stuff, and I had a lot going on as well. So, yeah, I'll just say that that's all that really was. It's, there's context clues and everything, but I don't think he's getting traded. Now, if they lose like a ton, maybe, but I don't really see it. I do think the Rams are going to come back in this one, but I appreciate your comment. And then Alex, to wrap it up, appreciate you, by the way. I'm so done. I've been a Rams fan since 90s. I'm so tired of watching this organization waste of my time. When people ask if I'm a fan, with shame, yes, they get moped with mediocre teams. Well, they only got mopped by the Cardinals. They've been really competitive. It's frustrating. I get that, Alex, but you've been a fan since the 90s. I mean, you know the Sosar Rams. And I don't know when in the 90s, but if it's since the 90s, you may have seen Tony Banks. You definitely saw the 1-15 Rams, right? The Rams that led to get to Sam Bradford. That team was atrocious. You saw the 2-14 Rams with Sam Bradford's high ankle sprain the whole year, Dan Amendola's dislocated elbow. There's been way worse teams. 2016 was such a disappointing season because they started, 3-1 with Case Keenum, and then they didn't win a game until the Jets game that I was at, and that was it. There's just been so much worse. 2022 was bad. This year, they are really trying to compete, and they're stretched. They're stretched very thin. So, we're going to see if they come out of the bye. I think my guess is they're going to come out of the bye with a fire. Part of me wishes they were playing the Vikings because I think whoever they played this week, they were going to beat. And I just think, the Raiders are not going to be having a good time this Sunday. I do think the Rams are going to come out with a lot of adjustments, maybe some different personnel. Maybe we see some new linebackers. I think at least one linebacker change. And, that's how I see it. But, guys, appreciate you guys so much for doing this. I guess maybe we try this once a week. That would be cool, right? I don't know if you guys would be down, but maybe. But yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already. Be sure to follow me on all social media at Jake Ellenbogen, and check out today's sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. And of course, use my code Jake Ellenbogen to get $50 instantly when you sign up and play at least a $5 lineup. You can do so tonight. Jets, Bills. You can also use it on other sports. There's plenty of sports, not just the NFL. So if you ever want to just try Prize Picks and there's no NFL games on, well, you got the NLCS. I know a lot of you Dodgers fans out there. And in addition to that, you have the ALCS. And there are Yankee fans on this channel. I know there are. So with that said, appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's a long show, but I wanted to make sure that I answered every single question, and I did so without a half-ass answer. When you tune into this show, the entire point is that you're getting quality. I'm not going to be talking through a tin can. I'm going to be talking on the best mic I can. I'm going to be in front of a camera that's actually quality. It's all about quality on this channel. I know a lot of people think that it's quantity, but I believe this channel can have both quantity and quality. So appreciate everyone who supports the channel. Appreciate all my members. Appreciate everybody who commented. If you didn't, there's always next time. So we got plenty of stuff planned for you throughout the week. We'll get you guys ready for the Raiders game, DTR, all that. And I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.